Hi. We went to Bambori Beach. Me and my girlfriend, now fiance, and we met a guy called Moses, who was sort of selling stuff. He had a stand. He was talking, he was showing he had a company and everything. Showed me his ID, and booked us on a safari to Savo East, from Mombasa. He would pick us up at our hotel, and then. Normally I would never accept anything like that because he did, because it was beachfront and everything. He said you wouldn't need to pay till we picked you up and you were going and everything. So I said, okay, fine, I'll give 1,000 Kenyan shillings as a deposit. I wasn't going to put any more than that, in case it was fake or whatever. So anyway, we did that. It's not normally. I did actually calculate the price. We paid £200, which is equivalent to 26,000 Kenyan shillings for the whole thing. I calculated it based on the park entrance fee being $52. I think it was for Tsavo East, and 510 Kenyan shillings because my girlfriend is dual citizen. And about 5,000 Kenyan shillings for fuel, 5,000 roughly, or 10,000 for car and everything. I worked it out to be about 180 if I was doing it, and obviously someone else was doing it about two, because it was definitely going to be cheaper than that. So I thought 200 was possible to get to Tsavo East, so I thought that's fine. Anyway, so we got on the. He picked us up at 5 AM. We got in this van which had the extended roof things that would go up and you can see the animals through the roof. We drove there. I looked on Google and it said to get to Tsavo East it was 5 hours on Google Maps, so I was expecting it to be about 5 hours. We got over about 10 o'clock. He did say it was about 3 hours, which I thought was a bit weird. But anyway, so it took us 3 hours to get there, which I thought was a bit too quick. We got to a place called Voi, or VOI. It's not anywhere near Tsavo. And then we went in for I went to Nairobi National Park with my girlfriend's family, and we had a look around there, and the national park signs are completely different. You had KWS everywhere, armed police and all that, and it didn't seem right. We went into, when we came out, we definitely saw the sign again. So it was Negutuni, NGUTUNI Wildlife Conservancy or something. Anyway, at the time we weren't really paying attention, but it didn't seem that. At the beginning we weren't sure, but it did on Google Maps. It didn't say it until you really zoom in, so we didn't see it at the time. I thought we were in like the bottom of Tsavo East because it's confusing on Google Maps. We went in there, and then we just literally did circles around like electrical pylon things. We saw elephants and water buffalo, so we thought we probably were into Tsavo East. But then I noticed we kept doing sort of loops near the SGR. We weren't going any further in. It's a bit weird. So I get a bit paranoid sometimes anyway. So I like to know where I am, especially when I'm not with people I'm not sure about. So I was tracking the whole thing using Google Maps. This is how I knew we wasn't sure we were into Tsavo anyway. But I was watching what we were doing on Google Maps, and we didn't move probably any further than 3 or 4 kilometers in any direction, which was really weird. Because obviously you paid for a whole day experience at Tsavo East, and we're not going anywhere. Anyway, so I said to the guy, Moses, that we wanted. There was another driver in there as well, that we wanted to get some money out of the ATM. So anyway, we drove. I told him this a lot earlier, but anyway, we just drove to this checkpoint place, which was at the end of this what we thought was Tisavo East, and there was a security guard waiting there. Moses got out and started having a row with the security guard. The security guard pulled out his phone and started calling somebody. In the end, Moses ended up hitting the guy and knocking the phone out of his hand. And Moses ended up staying with the guy. So we believe the conversation was something along the lines of he wasn't allowed to go without payment or something. And he had to stay there while we went out. So we went out. At this point, we were a bit thinking to ourselves, "This is really not right," because he's hit some man. We were a bit scared, to be honest, because we're stuck in a car with the guy in a wildlife sanctuary where we believe there could be lions or something. So you can't exactly get out of the car. Anyway, go through this village. We get into Barclays Bank. Looking on a map now, I think it was in the VOI. We went out to there, around there somewhere, and went to Barclays Bank. I got out a bit of cash and was talking to my fiance about it then, and we thought we were quite convinced there's something wrong. So anyway, my girlfriend, fiance, decided that she was going to phone her uncle, who lived not very well. He lives in Mombasa, and anyway, so he phoned her up. She phoned him up, and he wasn't convinced either that it was Tisavo. So he spoke to the guy on the phone, not Moses, the driver, and the driver was lying to him, saying it was. But at this point, we were thinking, because they're escalating their voices and getting quite aggressive and everything. So we thought, because it was supposed to be lunch next, so we'd just wait till we go to the lodge, which was the safari lodge. So what we did is we went to I told my girlfriend to just calm down a bit, because she was arguing with the driver, because she was convinced it wasn't to Savo East and wanted her money back, and I just had to convince her that she needs to just keep quiet for the moment and pretend that there was nothing wrong. So we did that. We at the same time, I was messaging my fiance's cousin, who and a family friend to contact KWS, which was the closest, because Tisavo was around the corner, to come and see us and meet us, because we didn't want to go back with this guy, and we wanted to get him busted at that point, because we were pretty convinced it was some sort of scam. A legit company mentioned to us when we got a quote from them for the Tisavo East that there were people that were doing scams similar to what we were experiencing. So I think we were quite convinced at this point anyway. So we went to this safari lodge, which was called Ngutuni, Ngutuni Safari Lodge, which was a very weird experience, because we went there. We knew the KWS were coming. They told us sort of 40 minutes. At this point, Winnie was in contact with a captain who was phoning her on her Kenyan phone, and we were making these calls, but that just while our driver, we're trying to keep our driver and everyone around us, but we had to delay as much as possible, so we took a long time eating, and we just ate hardly anything. We literally ate I got like a little bit of meat, because we were basically really scared of anything that was going to happen. I tried to speak to who seemed somebody that looked like a manager about the situation. He was wearing a white shirt. Everybody else was wearing sort of brown, and looked like we were just dealing with the table stuff. Anyway, I asked him if I could speak to the manager about the situation. This is what we were having. And he said, yeah, certainly. He was trying to find. He was smiling in a weird way, like It was really weird at the time. He was smiling as I was saying, yeah, I think we got scammed, I think they're with us or whatever. And yeah, it was just really weird. This manager never appeared within the 40 minutes of us being there. And we knew, I definitely did see the guy that came later on anyway. So he was around, that manager, which was weird. What else was weird is we were speaking to some tourists, they're British citizens, that they believe they were into Savo East as well, in this lodge, and it definitely is not in Savo East. Then the other thing that was people going round, waiters were going around telling everybody it was to Savo East. That was really weird. This guy would come around and he said, I tricked him, one of them, and I said, well, Savo East is over there, isn't it? Because it was on the map, and he said, yes, it was over there. And then another one came by and said, no, this is to Savo East, randomly, and we weren't even talking to the guy. He just randomly said it to us in a conversation, which was really, really weird. Anyway, so at this point I'm starting to think something's up with the place as well. Anyway, so delayed it even more. We pretended that there was an issue back home with Winnie's sister. So anyway, there wasn't, and it was just delaying. So nothing. We spent money on drinks as well to try and delay the stuff. So we bought some Coke and things. Anyway, KWS arrived. I'm really surprised the crap out of the people we were with. They were really shitting themselves. And I was surprised we got them caught. They walked past the KWS because they didn't think anything was up. And we told the KWS it was them, and they called them over.